He entered adulthood without a clear sense of beginning. There was no sharp turn. No moment that demanded a decision. Things arranged themselves quietly. Education led to work. Work led to routine. Routine felt like progress because it moved forward. He accepted the first role that fit him well enough. It was not wrong. It was not right either. It was simply available. People around him recognized the role quickly. They responded to it. They relied on it. Over time, they stopped seeing anything else. He noticed this. But only briefly. The feeling passed as soon as daily tasks returned. Mornings followed a pattern. Evenings ended without reflection. Weekends softened the edges. Nothing asked for more. He learned the small adjustments required to stay comfortable. How to speak. How to listen. When to agree. When silence worked better. Each repetition made the role feel more natural. Less like a choice. More like a fact. He did not feel trapped. That word never came to mind. There was no pressure. No visible loss. Stability carried its own logic. It rewarded consistency. It discouraged interruption. Occasionally, he sensed a gap. Not pain. Just a pause. A brief awareness that something had not been examined. The feeling appeared in ordinary moments. While waiting in line. While listening to familiar conversations. While recognizing his own responses before they happened. Then the moment closed. The role resumed. The day continued. Nothing was broken. Nothing demanded repair. And so it seemed reasonable to continue. Over time, the role became easier to maintain. It required less attention. Less thought. He knew what was expected before anyone spoke. Responses formed automatically. Words arrived without effort. This efficiency felt like maturity. Like adaptation. Like knowing oneself. The environment supported this belief. There were no objections. No interruptions. Consistency was rewarded with calm. Decisions narrowed quietly. Not through restriction. Through familiarity. He chose what he had chosen before. Because it worked. Because it did not disturb anything. Trust settled into the routine. Trust in the structure. Trust in the people around him. Trust that continuity meant correctness. Questions still appeared. But they arrived without urgency. They did not insist on answers. They surfaced during transitions. Between tasks. Between conversations. Between days that felt the same. He noticed that these questions lacked language. They were vague. Unformed. Easy to ignore. The role absorbed them. Turned them into background noise. Adaptation became a skill. He adjusted tone. Adjusted timing. Adjusted expectations. The adjustments were small. Almost invisible. But constant. There was no sense of loss. Only the absence of contrast. New possibilities did not disappear. They simply stopped presenting themselves. There was no space for them to enter. The role felt neutral. Not confining. Not liberating. It functioned. That was enough. Stability continued to justify itself. By repeating yesterday. By resembling tomorrow. And so the motion continued. Smooth. Predictable. Unquestioned. Years passed without being marked. They blended into each other. Not erased. Just uncounted. The role remained intact. It aged with him. Adjusted its edges. Never required revision. He became reliable. That word followed him. It sounded solid. It sounded complete. Others depended on this reliability. They planned around it. They assumed it would hold. He rarely disappointed. And when he did, it was minor. Easily explained. Inside, nothing resisted. There was no conflict to resolve. No urgency to interrupt the flow. He noticed how rarely he was surprised by himself. Reactions came first. Awareness followed later. If at all. Some conversations repeated exactly. Different days. Same outcomes. Same tone. He recognized his own phrases. As they left his mouth. Already familiar. Already used. There were moments of stillness. Late evenings. Early mornings. Times without witnesses. In those moments, he sensed the shape of something unfinished. Not missing. Just untouched. It did not ask for action. It did not demand change. It waited quietly. He interpreted this calm as confirmation. As proof that nothing was wrong. As evidence of balance. Movement continued without direction. Forward. Sideways. Never away. The role required no defense. It had become invisible. And invisibility felt safe. At some point, the role stopped feeling temporary. Not permanent either. Just assumed. He no longer remembered choosing it. The memory had softened. Details dissolved. What remained was function. He knew how to perform it. Others knew how to receive it. Time was organized around expectations. Meetings. Obligations. Predictable outcomes. Change occurred elsewhere. In systems. In technology. In people passing through. He adapted without resistance. Adjusted methods. Updated habits. Never the position itself. When others spoke about transitions, he listened politely. He nodded. He did not feel addressed. Risk seemed unnecessary. Not dangerous. Just irrelevant. He did not fear loss. He simply avoided disturbance. The role offered shelter. A way to remain involved. Without being exposed. Occasionally, something shifted. A question surfaced. Not sharp. Not demanding. It appeared as curiosity without direction. As a pause before answering. As a delayed response. He noticed these moments. And moved past them quickly. There was always something to complete. Completion mattered more than clarity. Finishing replaced examining. Nothing forced a stop. Nothing broke the pattern. The role continued to fit. Even as it thinned. Even as it simplified him. He remained present. Engaged. Unchanged. And the days accepted this arrangement. Without comment. The role did not collapse. It did not fail. It simply continued. By then, it had no edges. It blended into his sense of self. Separating the two felt unnecessary. He was known in consistent ways. Introduced the same. Described the same. These descriptions felt accurate. Not complete. But sufficient. When he imagined alternatives, they appeared distant. Abstract. Without weight. He did not reject them. He did not pursue them. They remained untested. The role required maintenance. He provided it. Routinely. Without effort. There was comfort in predictability. Not joy. Not boredom. Time moved evenly. Days accumulated. Nothing stood out. Occasionally, he sensed the cost. Not as regret. As recognition. A quiet awareness. That repetition had replaced attention. That familiarity had spoken on his behalf. This awareness did not demand action. It did not accuse. It existed briefly. Then passed. Life continued. Within the shape already formed. Supported by habits. Sustained by expectation. Nothing ended. Nothing began. The role remained.